In the wake of the global health pandemic, the ancient practice of yoga offers a holistic response to physical, mental, and emotional challenges. By integrating breathwork, mindfulness, and movement, yoga promotes balance and resilience, helping individuals cope with anxiety, stress, and uncertainty. This approach not only strengthens the immune system but also nurtures emotional well-being, providing a comprehensive framework for navigating personal and collective health crises with inner peace and strength. So, ladies and gentlemen, today our panel discussion will be on the topic Holistic Well-Being, a yogic response to the global health pandemic.
Bianco. Marco is the advisor for Croatia at the European Yoga Council, member of European Yoga Federation, and international advisor of the World Yoga Council. He first meets Eastern philosophies in the mid-80s, and since then, in his rich life experience, he had the opportunity to meet and work with many great teachers from many different traditions. Marco received his education in yoga from Carlo Patrian, a teacher who, after spending many years in India, in contact with the most renowned yoga teachers of the 19th and 20th centuries, received the honorary title of Yoga Ratna and was the first person who brought yoga to Italy in the late 50s. Marco, after several years of study in direct contact with his teacher and mentor Carlo, received the diploma of yoga teacher in Milan at Carlo's Instituto Yoga. Marco traveled all around the world, from Middle East to India, from Africa to America, and throughout his researches, he came into contact with a variety of styles and traditions, such as Iyengar Yoga, Shivananda Yoga, and his favorite, Ashtanga Vinayasa Yoga. Marco moved to Croatia in 2005, where he was invited to teach at Nava Yoga Center as a senior teacher. At Nava, he developed the first Croatian training program for yoga teachers according to the high international standards of European Yoga Federation, Yoga Alliance, and International Yoga Federation. Later, in 2007, at Sangha Yoga Center, he worked as co-director of the studio and as director of Gaya Yoga Teacher Training. In early 2012, he opened the Pink Elephant Yoga House with his wife Petra, and with her, created a new program for yoga teachers called Pink Elephant Yoga Institute. The institute is registered by the European Yoga Federation and recognized by World Movement for Yoga and Ayurveda and World Yoga and Ayurveda Community. Marco is often invited to teach as a guest teacher in many different countries. He constantly collaborates with many teachers and in particularly with Swami Suryananda, also known as Amandio, Bianco, with whom he is bounded by a profound respect and a long-term friendship. Welcome, Marco ji.
Welcome our next panelist, Professor Amandio Figueiredo from Brazil. In cities, he started practicing yoga. He is founder of several associations of yoga and other asanas. He is a founding member of several Ayurvedic institutions in Portugal. In 2003, he got training in Ayurveda under the guidance of Dr. Jules Ruge. He participates in the preparation of meetings of the EUAA in Germany, being the founding member. He exercises the clinical practices of Ayurveda in various centers.
It is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Gisa Franceschelli. She is a yoga teacher and trainer with over 40 years of experience. She began practicing yoga at the age of 14 and has taught children and adolescents since 2004. She has taught at various schools including ASD Sattva Yoga, Ostia, and the Socio Health Institute of Rome. She has also published articles on yoga in schools and contributed to Master Amandio Bianchi's book, Learning from the Past, Living the Present, and Preparing for the Future. She has also participated in various yoga festivals, Rome and Sister Nino. She has also participated in conferences on yoga and Ayurveda, health and wellness, philosophy, science, and psychotherapy. So please put your hands together to welcome Ms. Gisa Franceschelli.
It's my privilege to welcome and introduce Mr. Vijay Reddy, a distinguished professional in pharmaceutical research, drug discovery and development, currently serving as the Senior Director at QuantX Biosciences in Princeton, New Jersey. His expertise in organic chemistry is backed by a PhD from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Beyond his scientific achievements, he has been a dedicated student of Advaita Vedanta for over 20 years, studying under the guidance of Swami Tatmanananda and other esteemed teachers. As the president of Project Self, he demonstrates a deep commitment to both his professional field and spiritual growth, exemplifying leadership and intellectual curiosity in all his endeavors. So, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Vijay Reddy. Today's panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Vikrant Singh Tobar, Convener United Consciousness. Dr. Tomar is an acknowledged trainer, academician, scholar, writer, and a management consultant. He's a freelance trainer and served the cabinet ministers of state, MLAs, police officers, and tycoons of the business world. His aim and objective is universal brotherhood and happiness through harmonizing the knowledge from the ancient scriptures into our lives. So I welcome all our guests for panel discussion.
Most welcome, honorable guests. We acknowledge your presence, Dr. Vijay Reddy ji. Thank you very much for being here from US. We acknowledge your presence, Professor Amandio ji from Portugal. We acknowledge your presence, Marco ji from Croatia, and Gisa ji from Italy. And dear friends and viewers who are watching us from different parts of the world, our topic of panel discussion is holistic well-being, a yogic response to the global health pandemic. World has just seen, suffered, and learned through coronavirus. And we saw how it has shook humanity by and large, and we all have our parts of learning from it. Since the outbreak of corona, yoga and importance of yoga across the planet has increased like anything. And that's why it is contemporarily important to discuss that what can be the yogic response for present and future world global health pandemics. So to begin with, I would like to ask from Marco Bianco ji. Marco ji, yoga works at different dimensions. It has something for physical health. It has something for psychological well-being. It has something for spiritual well-being also. Would like to first ask from you, what and how are the principles of yoga can help in physical well-being? Over to you.
Okay, from my experience with my student during the pandemic, we had a very explosive, let's say, joining people in yoga. That's mainly because the pandemic situation is a very particular situation that we haven't had in the world since we know ourselves, because in the other emergency health situation during the past, we were not so connected as we are now. So the global response is completely different than before. We have now internet, we have medias, we have social media. So the spread of the news of the pandemic has a much wider impact than before. And what does this mean? That means that mainly we were aware of the global consciousness and mainly of the... Sorry, I have my small child to the side of me, and I have to cope.
Seems he also wants to share something.
he wants to share something, of course. So mainly what we had to face is the fear, because before having all this media network within us, was every individual have to cope with the situation by itself. But globally, when one feel the fear and many feel the same fear, then it's a global fear coming up. And the fear of death, because it was a deadly dangerous, corona was a deadly dangerous virus. So you know that the fear of that is one of the most the most dangerous fear that we face with. But also, and that's the most important thing, the fear of unknown, because it was an unknown virus. And the fear of unknown is the most very recent study has confirmed that the fear of unknown is the most important fear. Well, I remember my dad passed away very young, but has a very fulfilled life. And when I asked him, what are you fearing now? That you have no more time on the earth, that you will miss your family? I say, no, nothing of that. I don't know where I'm going. So the fear of unknown is always the most powerful fear that we have. And in this case, globally, we have to face this fear. We have to cope with this fear. So yoga, it's amazing helpfully in facing the fear, because it works mainly on the mind. And if you remember that the most important text on yoga is the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra is all about the mind and the connection with the individual with its mind. And we have to just few words. We have to remember that Patanjali say that only the mind coming out from meditation is the mind free from karma. Other mind are programmed. And so we all are programmed. And since we are not able to leave this program and finally through meditation, through yoga, find our own mind, then we are not able to cope with something like these global fears as we have.
Thank you, Marco Bianco ji. He mentioned about abhinivesha and the fear of unknown, and he said that meditation can be one of the strong tools. Now we'll go to Amandio ji. Amandio ji, let's develop a plan for our audience who are watching us. How can yogic or Vedantic practices can be an antidote for coming and future coming such global health challenges? What practices of yoga would you think can help people to be more strong physically?
Namaste, dear all. Thank you for this invitation. Global, and it's very important. We know that the current moment that we live in the planet is very difficult. We are responsible for the decline in the quality of life. We have problems like pandemic, pollution, planetary warming. And during the COVID-19, from the Zoom, I did the yoga classes oriented with Ayurveda, with the heat that the people can do, because we have the longevity as the finality of the life. Yoga and the asanas are very important, because they give us the strong immunity that we must have to our nervous system, and then our mental. We are warriors in yoga, especially doing Hatha yoga, but we are the yogis of silence and the ahimsa, no violence, which is more difficult. The ambassador says something very important for this moment that the planet is living, our world is living. And from the breathing, the pranayama, and someone says, talking about Hatha Yoga Pradipika, we must put that practice in our daily life with the sutras of Patanjali. Then we can be a strong health and a resistance to all aggressivity, that we do ourselves and we do to the planet, and the nature cannot give us the condition that we have a good life. Namaste. Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you very
Vijay.
much, Amandioji. Very crisp, specific, and impactful. You mentioned that pranayama, teachings of Hatha Yoga, Pratipika, and Ayurveda Veda should be brought into life, and it will improve our immune system. Gisa ji, you have been working in this field for decades now. What are the things from the perspective of yoga that you would like to suggest to our audience to strengthen their physical body? You are muted, Gisa ji. You are muted, Gisa ji. You may like to unmute. Click
Yes.
on unmute. Yes, now it's okay.
Yes, sorry. Can you repeat, please?
My question is, you have been in yoga for 2 decades around. What practices of yoga sadhana would you like to suggest to our audience so that they can have more fulfilling and strong physical body?
Yes, I think in my experience as a teacher during the pandemic, I have seen how the use of yoga, which I had already included in my teaching, was seen as essential even by the students. And the students asked, above all, in that period, for sequences of asanas and yoga nidra, feeling the need to move and to relax. Yoga allows you to practice beneficial activities using an extremely small space, such as that of mat, allowing everyone enough space to do it at home. And Yoga Nidra has been a valid tool to eliminate the states of anxiety and allowing us to sleep better at night, both for children and adults. Furthermore, thanks to the fifth yama aparigraha or no grade, free lessons and courses have often been held so as to reach and support people from all economic and social groups. In fact, I have also seen good participation during the free online lessons for adults. The use of video lessons has also led to a spreading of the practice of yoga, which states of anxiety, fear, and anger managed were exacerbated during the pandemic. I think that it was very important to relax the people because they were very stressed and with panic attacks. So Yoga Nidra was wonderful in that moment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You mentioned yoga nidra, asana, compassion, meditation, and importance of yamas and niyamas. When you mentioned about yamas and niyamas, I'll go to our friend Vijay Reddy ji. Vijay Reddy ji, you are a student of Vedanta, and Vedanta talks a lot about mind management. During pandemic times, what were you telling to your mind and the mind of the people around you so that it can help them to have a more strong mind to deal with that fearsome situation?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the yoga method is a very holistic, which means that it works through the combination of the asanas, the pranayama, the mindfulness, and most importantly, the ethical guidelines, right? And so one of the yoga principle that is aparigraha, for example, it helps to develop coping skill. That apagriha is the non-attachment, it's non-possessiveness, taking minimal to ourselves, that is. So this can help develop individuals develop coping with a loss of control often felt during the crisis, either COVID or life crisis, in any situation for that matter. And similarly, the other yoga principle, ahimsa, that is non-violence, for example, it promotes compassion towards oneself and others. This can inspire kindness, empathy towards those affected, that is. So non-violence means it's not only in action, but is also in words, how not to hurt others, and also in thinking even, right? Not to develop that is a harmful thoughts. It also hurts the self, actually, whoever generated this kind of thoughts, right? So developing this kind of aparigraha, ahimsa, and the other yamas and niyamas certainly can help other people develop the skills, the coping skills, so that you can put up in these very difficult situations.
Thank you very much. Vijay Reddy ji gave emphasis to some of the important yamas and niyamas, as he mentioned about aparigraha, minimalism, non-possessiveness, ahimsa, and ability to cultivate right thoughts. Marco Bianco ji, is it that easy to cultivate right thoughts in difficult times? When times go wrong, how can I think right? Can you suggest us some methods which work for you or which work for the people around you during those difficult times? How to think straight when things are going straight?
Yes. Try to work directly on our mind is not really possible. So if we want to stop a thought, we are not thinking, stop this thought. We have to work with other tools that are connected with the mind. And I think that the breath work here is playing a very important role. The mind is also connected with the emotions, and the breath is directly connected with emotions. So when we have fear, we breathe in a particular way. When we meditate, we breathe in a completely other way. So actually, when we meditate, the breath almost stops. And when the breath stops, also the thoughts are stopping. So it's very important to learn how to breathe correctly. And here the pranayama work is very important. There are many different techniques. And the people have a disposition, something that is very broad and very, in a way, complex, but very easy to practice. So to start with practice pranayama is very important during this time when the mind is not able to be stopped with other tools that are common tools that people has not at disposition. But with pranayama, I think is the best way now to calm our mind, and then it's of course a very important tool of yoga.
Thank you very much, Marco ji. I think the child behind you has started doing pranayama already, Brahmari pranayama. So nice to see that he's already engaged in our discussion. So, as Marco Bianco ji mentioned about breath work is an important tool because mind and breath are twins. If you can't control your mind, at least start with your breath and it will help you to control. Amandio ji, you also mentioned about many techniques mentioned in Ayurveda and techniques mentioned in Yoga Sutra. What are the techniques which work for you for mind control, mind management? It may come from any discipline which you would like to suggest to our audience.
Thank you. There are the experience can tell us because yoga is an holistic based health. We can know the effect of what we eat in the mind. It's called prabhava. And then we know that when we have one of the nostrils working, that they change the mind, they change our way of action and our way of thinking. Then when we do the state of meditation, after all the 8 branches of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, that can step by step until that we unite in samadhi, this movement, we can, I tell to my people that in a little class of 1 hour, at the end, we are different from the beginning, as we want or not, because the nervous system and the breathing change it. And then we can observe that our mind, that what can happen in the mind, we can observe without aggressivity and without fear, as Marco says. And the fear is the very important, that the breath can help, and the good hit, what we hit, it's very important. Thank you again.
Thank you. So, Amandio ji just wanted to ask a counter question. If I'm stressed, which nostril should I breathe from?
If I'm stressed, the left.
I'm in stress. Which nostril you suggest I should try to breathe from?
In stress, the left nostril, because it works as the pacifies the Chandra energy prana, and then we pacify.
Thank you
And
very
if you
much.
want to, if you are sleeping too much, you try Suryana and the nostril, the right nostril, to wake up, and for yourself and for the others.
Get up, go for right nostril. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Patanjali and Hatha Yoga Pradipika says it.
Thank you.
It works.
Fine. Gisa ji,
Because
Amandio,
I do it in my yoga therapy sections. Namaste.
so Amandio ji mentioned if you are stressed, go for left nostril breathing. It will pacify you with your Chandra Nadi getting active. So Gisa ji, you mentioned Yoga Nidra. Would you like to mention a couple of more tips how to be more balanced in the mind when I face adversity?
I think that in Yoga Nidra, with Yoga Nidra, we can relax our mind and we can contribute to become a resilience in our state of mind because it can it can with Yoga Nidra we can relax the mind and we have to understand that we can use it in every time we are stressed or we are in trouble, we are worried of something, and so we can use it with resilience in other times, in other ways.
Thank you. Thank you, Vizaji. As you mentioned, that Yoga Nidra can be used for relaxing and it can increase resilience also. Vijayji, from physical to mental, and the highest realm of being is spiritual being. As they say, we are not human beings having spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings having human experience. You are a student of Vedanta. What are the Vedantic methods would you like to suggest to our audience for their spiritual elevation?
Absolutely. I can share from my experience, self-reflection probably the most important. The looking into our own thoughts, our own actions. When the thoughts develop in our mind, where exactly they're developing from, and once the thought developed, how we are reacting to that. For example, we just discussed the non-violence. So I can reflect my own action, for example, how a particular action hurt other people, right? And then see what limitation within myself that triggered that kind of action that hurt other people, that is. Then I can relate to other people when hurt me. That helps me to develop some compassion for other people. Then there's some kind of kindness for other people. So what the end result of this self-reflection is that it automatically gives a position where you're able to excuse them, that you could forgive them, and it's it has since it has the basis of my own self reflection of my own actions. This becomes an automatic process. This not even act of act actually an egoistic act, that is. It becomes an automatic process, that is. Yeah, I think self reflection is probably the most powerful technique one should
Thank
adopt
you very
actually.
much,
Yeah,
Vijay.
yeah.
As you mentioned, that Swadhyaya or self-reflection leads to observation of thoughts, actions, identifying your triggers, and leads to forgiveness. And finally, it can become automatic way we live. Marco Bianco ji, as Reddy ji shared one of his techniques to be spiritually elevated. Tell me one of your techniques. We discussed about the mental calmness, mental peace, but the purpose of life is not only to remain mentally peaceful. We really want to elevate ourselves to higher spiritual realities also, and being peaceful is one of the path towards it. One tip from you to the audience: how to be spiritually elevated. What do you do for yourself or others?
Yes, of course, here we have to ground ourselves in yoga and meditation. And it's the basic practice that I'm doing every morning, and meditation also in the evening. So we have these two part of our life dedicated to our, let's say, spiritual practice, but also physical practice and mental practice. And once we are grounded in then we have more awareness. And with more awareness, we can lower our ego. That's the most important thing for spiritual elevation. So we are constantly facing our fears and our needings and coping with other people, and we feel offended, and we feel in the way we feel during our daily life when we enhance our ego. But when we lower our ego, then everything becomes fine. No matter where we live, who we are facing, what we are doing, we are completely fine. So yoga is the most important tool to lower the ego. And once the ego is lower, then it's a
Thank you.
happy life.
Thank you very much, Marco Bianco ji. Amandio ji, in next 30 seconds, as we are wrapping up, what kind of meditation you work, which works for you to lower the ego?
It's easy. It's just to be attentive to the breathing, what the nostril is working in that time, if they are equals, and the work of the mind. If the thoughts come, we have to strong the breathing, and we're going to make a game between mind to pacify and to be empty the lungs slowly, and especially the breathing out without stress. It comes slowly, that the mind stays in pratyahara, the minimum that we can have. It's the pratyahara. Then maybe is the way that I can transmit to the people, because I don't know what they do after the classes. They are workers. They have people to do a lot of things. They are not monks in the cathedral, something like that. So I have to put the persons that the day-to-day life must be the meditation that we can have to what the things that we are doing.
Thank you. You mentioned importance of pratyahara. Gisa ji, in 30 seconds, any quick tip that you would like to give to our audience right now, which they can do right now, start doing right now?
To like? I don't. Sorry.
Any practical tip that you want to give to our audience? Any suggestion that you would like to give to our audience to do from now?
Yes, I think that is necessary to use yoga and to introduce it in the school, in public school, in every part of the world, from childhood to teenagers, because they necessity of this.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yoga should be introduced to the schools and early childhood. Vijayji, in 30 seconds, one more suggestion. You last time spoke about Swadhyaya. Any other particular suggestion you would like to give? 30 seconds.
Yeah, other one is that I would like to must find 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, sit quietly in their own favorite place every single day. This practice of just simply sitting for 10 minutes every day, quietly, focusing on whatever they are interested in, any object of their interest, could tremendously transform one's life. That that I can say that based on my own experience, I can say that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, respected guests from all different parts of the world. We have people from 3 continents seated over here right now. Audience who are watching and who will be watching us from all 6 continents. We discussed upon how during difficult times, yoga can respond to the global health pandemic. Marco Bianco ji said that Abhinivesha is a big fair, it is a big klesha, and meditation and mind management is the way out. He mentioned about the importance of breath work. Whenever mind gets defocused, start focusing on your breath. Whenever you fear, whenever you meditate, breath operates differently. So pranayama is a strong method. He said that being grounded is very much important. Be aware of your actions all day long, which are the actions which are pro-ego and which are the actions which are making you humble. When you become aware of it, it really helps you. Amandio ji said that go for Ayurveda, because when when you follow Ayurveda, it increases your immune system. He mentioned about importance of pranayama. He first told us to follow Hatha Yoga Pradipika. He said whenever you are stressed, breathe from your left nostril, because Chandra Nadi will make you pacify. She said that it is very much important for us to follow Pratyahara. Sit in a quietude place, withdraw your senses, it will help you. Gisa ji said Yog Nidra is a strong method. Asanas, yamas and niyamas. Compassion meditation, it increases resilience and makes you relax. Yoga should be introduced in schools and early childhood. Vijay ji said that mindfulness is very much important. Ethical guidelines of yamas and niyamas like aparigraha, minimalism, non-possession, ahimsa, empathy, kindness, compassion, these are very, very much important. He said that thinking pattern has to be observed, because thinking should be helpful, not hurtful. For that, he suggested for self-reflection, that will by reflecting on your thoughts, actions, identifying what are your triggers, and gradually it becomes automatic process you live, and that leads to forgiveness. He said 10 minutes of quietude daily is must, because when you pray, God listens. When we pray, God listens. Yeah, we listen to the God, but when we are in quietude, we listen. When we pray, God listens. We listen to the God, but when we are in quiet, we listen to the God. So sit back in the quietude and listen to the God. Thank you very much, everybody, for being here. Namaste.
Thank you very much.
Namaste.
Yes.
Namaste. Thank you, Paul.